Midnight in southern Tehran. The streets are quiet, the factories silent, and the industrial warehouses look abandoned. But behind one dull metal door lies something so explosive that only a handful of people in the entire country even know it exists. Inside that building is a secret archive, tens of thousands of documents detailing years of nuclear weapons research, blueprints, warhead designs, photographs of experiments, evidence that could reshape international politics. And on this particular night in January 2018, a small group of foreign spies is about to walk into the heart of Iran's capital and steal it all. What happened over the next 6.5 hours would become one of the most audacious intelligence operations of the 21st century. The warehouse didn't look like anything special. It sat in Tehran's Shorabad industrial district, surrounded by scrap yards and dusty roads. From the outside, it looked neglected, just another storage building among hundreds of others. But that was precisely the point. According to Israeli intelligence, this unremarkable building held Iran's secret nuclear archive, the physical record of a covert program known as Project Ahmad, a project aimed at developing nuclear weapons. The documents inside were believed to cover years of research into warhead design, explosive testing, and plans for building multiple nuclear devices. Few people knew the archive even existed, and fewer still knew where it was stored, but someone did. Israeli intelligence had identified the warehouse years earlier and placed it under quiet surveillance. They watched guard routines. They studied the building's security systems. They mapped the structure down to the location of every safe inside. The most important discovery was this: the archive wasn't digital. Iran had stored its most sensitive nuclear information the old-fashioned way, on paper, in binders, locked inside massive steel safes. 32 of them. And if the information was going to be proven authentic to the world, the originals had to be taken, which meant someone would have to physically break into the building and carry everything out. The mission would require precision timing. There was no guard stationed outside the warehouse at night. That was deliberate. Visible security might draw attention to the site. Instead, alarms and surveillance systems monitored the doors and interior. But there was another critical detail. The morning guard shift arrived at 7 a.m. That gave the attackers only a small window, roughly 6.5 hours, not to copy the files, to steal them. On the night of January 31st, 2018, the operation began. Shortly after midnight, fewer than 24 operatives moved into position. Most of them were reportedly fluent in Persian. Some were believed to have Iranian backgrounds. They knew the streets, the language, and the environment. The real challenge was waiting for them. Rows of heavy vaults lined the interior walls, 32 giant safes, each one filled with documents. But there was no time to open them all. The operatives came prepared with specialized cutting torches capable of reaching temperatures of around 3,600 degrees Celsius, hot enough to burn through steel. Even so, opening every safe would take too long. So they made a calculated decision. They would open only 6. Those 6 were believed, based on months of intelligence, to contain the most valuable material. The torches ignited and the metal began to glow. Steel doors melted away as the team worked with relentless speed. While one group cut through the safes, another team sifted through the files, searching for specific binders and labeled folders that detailed nuclear weapon designs. What they found was even bigger than expected. Inside the vaults were tens of thousands of pages, diagrams, reports, photographs, meeting notes, engineering calculations. And then there were the disks, stacks of compact disks filled with digital files, videos, and presentations related to the program. The archive was enormous. Every minute mattered. The team packed the documents into bags and crates as quickly as possible. Anything less important was left behind. Every item had to justify the weight it added. Because by the time they finished, the haul would weigh roughly half a ton, about the weight of a grand piano, and they still had to get it out of Iran. As the night moved toward dawn, the pressure intensified. Time was running out. The operation had been calculated down to the minute. If the team was still inside when the morning guards arrived, they would be trapped in the middle of Tehran. But just before 5 a.m., the final crates were loaded. 50,000 pages of documents, another 55,000 files stored on more than 180 CDs, evidence of years of nuclear weapons research. The operatives exited the warehouse, leaving behind the silent rows of broken safes. 2 trucks carried the cargo away from the site. No alarms sounded. No police sirens screamed through the streets. Tehran slept on, unaware that one of its most closely guarded secrets had just vanished into the night. Hours later, at 7 a.m., a guard arrived for his shift. He walked toward the warehouse door, expecting an ordinary morning. Instead, he found something impossible. The safes were open. The archive was gone. By the time Iranian authorities realized what had happened, the operation was already over. The documents had been smuggled out of the country. How exactly remains one of the operation's most closely guarded secrets. Reports suggest the materials were transported through multiple routes before ultimately reaching Israel. What is known is that the raid had succeeded, but the world wouldn't hear about it for months. Behind closed doors, intelligence analysts began the painstaking process of translating and reviewing the massive trove of material. It took time. Tens of thousands of pages had to be examined. But when the results finally emerged, they were explosive. On April 30th, 2018, Israel's Prime Minister publicly revealed the operation and displayed the seized archive in a dramatic presentation. According to the documents, Iran had not only studied nuclear weapons, it had designed them. Plans showed detailed work on warhead construction and the potential production of multiple nuclear devices. The revelation ignited international debate. Supporters argued the archive proved Iran had hidden the full extent of its nuclear ambitions. Iran, for its part, dismissed the claims as fabricated and insisted it had never pursued nuclear weapons. But intelligence agencies in several countries reviewed the documents and considered them authentic. Regardless of the political interpretations, one fact was undeniable. A small team of operatives had entered one of the most heavily monitored capitals in the world, broken into a secret government archive, opened steel vaults with cutting torches, and escaped with half a ton of classified nuclear documents, all in a single night. In the shadowy world of espionage, operations like this rarely become public, but the Tehran warehouse raid did. And for intelligence professionals around the globe, it became something else entirely. A reminder that sometimes the most valuable secrets in the world aren't hidden behind firewalls or encrypted servers. Sometimes they're sitting quietly in a dusty warehouse, waiting for someone bold enough to steal them.